Hi everyone, B. Donald Harris here with the Notable Black in Tech podcast, the platform where we speak to tech founders, entrepreneurs, and career professionals who happen to be black, who are absolutely rock stars and killing it in the industry, and they are leaders of their craft. And today we have a special guest, Mikeal Vaughn, founder and executive director of Urban Coders Guild, who's going to be speaking to us about what they're doing and preparing the next generation of middle schoolers and high school students as they are learning to code and become tech leaders in the industry as a part of the movement that's happening in Tulsa as it is becoming a federal tech hub in this nation. You're really going to want to tune into this podcast and listen to what he has to say. He's going to uncover some resources and things that you need to hear in order to get involved in this movement. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me here. I'm happy to be here. Our mission is to provide computer science education, high quality computer science education for the underserved, the underrepresented, and the otherwise under-resourced students here in the Tulsa community.
That's in the wheelhouse of one of the reasons why I do this show, why I talk to people such as yourself, because I want to give a platform for a place where people like us can be visible to the next generation. They can see a reflection of themselves in the field that will attract them to jobs and areas and careers in tech. So tell me, what inspired you to start Urban Coders Guild, or what was the moment, or what experience triggered you to go down that pathway?
So I got to tell you, I tell this story often, and I have to preface it that I'm not really a religious person.
Okay.
But I describe it as a burning bush moment.
Okay.
I was living in Tokyo, having the most amazing life, like beyond my wildest dreams.
Okay.
Literally and figuratively beyond my wildest dreams. But what I didn't have, I had everything, but what I didn't have was a sense of purpose.
Okay.
And there was a moment when I saw myself as that 13-year-old kid from deep North Tulsa. Like, to be clear, 52nd Street North is deep North Tulsa.
Yeah.
I taught myself how to code in my bedroom. And when I first moved to Japan, I didn't have a visa. I barely had a job. I hustled my web development skills.
Okay.
And was building websites for folks. I didn't even speak the language. And so I'm really just using what I know technology-wise to build a life for myself. And that's where I built from. And in that moment, I knew I needed to come home, back to Tulsa, to provide a similar experience for our young folks, for kids who look like me, kids who come from a community like myself. And when I talk to our young folks, it really is, I tell them that it really is about being able to take what you know now, what you're learning, and go anywhere in the world. And not in a way that an adult says, oh, you can do anything in the world. Like, literally, you can go anywhere in the world.
Literally, yeah. With tech, especially with a career like tech. I hope you're enjoying this show. Whenever you get an opportunity, get a chance, check out my website at www.notablebit.com. You'll find some good information there. But whatever platform you're listening on, please feel free to leave a review. You can also communicate with us on Instagram at notablebit. Now back to the show.
Yeah.
So Tokyo, so you deep North Tulsa. How did you end up in Tokyo?
The funniest part is that I was at the University of Maryland. I had just graduated from college. My part of my degree was in Spanish communications.
Okay.
And so speaking really high level Spanish, speaking zero Japanese. And I got an invitation, or not even an invitation. It's like, hey, from a friend. It's like, hey, Mikeal, I'm living in Japan. I'm going to be in Tokyo for a couple of days. You should come hang out with me. And it was my graduation gift to myself. And I went to Tokyo and absolutely fell in love with the city, Not a huge fan of Japanese culture. Like, well, I wasn't at the time. I'm not a Japanophile.
Okay.
I'm not into anime. I have food allergies, so I'm not really into sushi and all
Okay.
like all that stuff. I really just went and fell in love with the biggest city in the world, 40 million people, the subways,
Oh wow.
the salaryman life. Like I can't really describe it unless you're there. Like
Mhm.
just that Tokyo energy. I fell in love with it and decided that
So
I wasn't leaving.
so a graduation gift to yourself
Yeah.
was to just go hang out with your friend in Tokyo,
Yeah.
and you fell in love with the city and just stayed.
Yeah. So the funny thing was that my friend, he was only there for like a weekend,
Oh
but I
wow.
had booked a ticket for 2 weeks. And so when I said I fell in love with the city, like it really was just me by myself
Oh wow.
wandering the city. And so when I fell in love, I mean, that's like I'm literally by myself, walking through unfamiliar streets, um, learning like words on the fly. I think about like really just being out exploring, um, exploring the curiosity, letting curiosity take you, the bravery, the fear, like all
Mm,
those things. That for me is like that's part of who I am.
yeah.
And being able to like just walk out on a limb, walk out
Mm,
on, into the dark, walk out on faith.
yeah.
Again, honestly, hold on, I'm not really religious, but like,
You sound religious though.
but I am a little bit.
Yeah.
But like being able to like seriously just like walk out on faith,
Hmm.
into the dark and be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
When I think about technology, I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
We don't know 5 years from now what it's gonna be
We
like.
don't
20
know.
years from now,
Right.
what are we gonna have? And it's stepping out into the dark. It's learning how to think,
Yeah.
critical thinking skills,
Hmm.
using our imagination,
Yeah.
math fundamentals.
So cause yeah, coding in particular does provide that. It does encourage that imagination and creativity. Because I remember on like yourself, I taught myself how to code.
Yeah,
I think I got my first computer when I was 9, because my dad was a tinkerer. He liked to get
yeah,
stuff and tinker. So he got this computer. He set it up, and I got this thing, and I just started tinkering with it, and then I began to practice and learn, and I started hanging. Then when I got to middle school, I started hanging with kids that code, and I began to learn how to do this. So we talked about being able to give back to the youth,
mm-hmm.
underserved, underrepresented communities, giving back to giving them that exposure.
Yeah.
So, what is the importance of Urban Coders Guild reaching out to these young people, exposing them to this? So, what for you makes it important to reach back to these kids, to give them this?
Hold on, you just made my eyes water a little bit. Um, Beyond coding,
Hmm.
because coding is one particular skill.
Yep.
It's on a more basic level. It is critical thinking and
Yep.
creativity.
Hmm.
But why is it important?
Hmm.
Tulsa as a city is positioning itself to be the next great American tech hub.
Yes. Yes.
And I want to make sure that our young folks have a place in this city that we're building. There's a lot of energy around Black Tech Street, which I love, Tulsa Innovation Labs, the Tech Hub.
Hmm.
These are all things I love. I want to make sure that our Black, Brown, Indigenous students, our young women, have a place.
Yeah.
Um, I I know what it's like to use technology and build a career. The money
Yeah.
that comes
It's
with that,
good.
it is better than good, especially living in Tulsa.
Hmm.
It is better than good.
That's true.
And then I imagine, you know, if if I made $250,000 a year in a tech job, that if I had a family, we would be able to buy a home.
Right.
If I had a family, I would be able to get Mikeal Jr. The tutoring that he would need in a math class,
Yeah.
and be able to go to the dentist. I would be able to get a therapist
Yeah.
and meet with a cardiologist
Yeah.
and um, really take care of ourselves and start to take care of our community. My nephew, I could put some money into his 529 account.
Right.
We're starting, you see where I'm going? We're
Yeah.
starting to change the lives of not just
Exactly.
myself, but my family, and then my extended family, and then my community. If enough of us make good money in our neighborhood, they might put a Starbucks or a Jamba Juice.
Right. Yes.
So it really is about changing the trajectory. I have on, my Black Wall Street Greenwood,
Yes.
my hoodie, and I think about um, Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
There's a young man, Tyrants, who talks about Black Tech Street. I think about building Black Tech Street, building intergenerational wealth by the young folks who are becoming young adults working in tech, making that great tech money.
Right. So because it's definitely life changing. It can definitely change life. It changed your life.
And it changed your life.
and so it's about giving back and reciprocating life change.
Yeah.
Over and over again in the community. And like you said, for the young Tulsans to be a part of this great tech hub that they're building in Tulsa. Because I know that right now a lot of transplants. I myself am a Tulsa transplant.
You are. No, this is I was talking crap earlier about Tulsa remote, but I mean it really is an infusion of folks to Tulsa.
Yeah, it is. And so what you're doing is it's ensuring that those that are here are not left out.
Yeah.
Because they don't need to be left out.
Yeah.
This is their city.
Yeah.
That's important, especially when you look at the because I've been learning the history of Tulsa and Black Wall Street and what was, but what was being built now and what's to come.
Yeah.
So and now you talked about the whys and the importance of the why. What is Urban Coders Guild's place in what's to come? The Biden-Harris administration have named Tulsa a
federal tech hub. Yeah.
Federal tech hub. And so what is Urban Coders Guild's place in that now, and where do you see it in the future 5-10 years from now?
I think about the young man Tyrants and Black Tech Street.
Okay.
Well, this is his organization, his vision. And I imagine it being a city on the hill. And I know with the election of Monroe, people are talking about Tulsa being the city on the hill.
Yeah.
Yes, all of that. And I think about pathways. How do we actually get there? Urban Coders Guild and my vision is that we're building pathways for our young folks, continuous learning pathways. And so we take middle school and high school kids, high school students, I need to stop calling them kids, taking young people and providing them with computer science education access, the resources, the opportunities, the experience. And our school system isn't necessarily providing these opportunities yet.
Okay.
We are pushing that in our schools, but our schools, have other challenges. And so we're playing our role as in the after school, out of school space to provide that for our young people. And then my vision is to be able to connect them with companies here in Tulsa that can do internships and apprenticeships, paid internships and apprenticeships, and to be able to connect them with our universities.
Okay.
So that they have multiple pathways. College isn't for everybody, and it doesn't have to be in tech. You get the right certifications, the right experience. You don't have to spend $100,000 to go to a school. You can step right in, or you can get your foot in the door.
Right.
You can have a decent resume so you can submit.
So I know you work with middle school and high school students.
Yes.
How involved are you with these students in their tech journey? I know many of the students may come in, they're being introduced to tech, they're being introduced to coding, but what is the journey like?
Great question. A good number of our kids have never done this. Keeping it real, a good number of our kids didn't sign up for this. Mom
and dad signed them up.
Grandma signed me up for this. Baby, you should do this coding thing. some of them have, and we use MacBooks. Some of them have never been on a MacBook, so it's like this Control C thing isn't working. We really start them from most of them can't type. I can't type, so I can't really say too much. But we really start from the beginning, and our layout, and we're still evolving this a little bit. But the idea is that when we do our summer programs in July, that there'll be an introduction.
Yeah.
There'll be a good taste of, computer science, of coding, building some things, and then when we start our main program, which runs an academic year in September,
Yeah.
they won't start from zero.
They won't start from zero. Yeah.
They'll have a clear understanding of what they're doing and why they want to do it. They meet twice a week for an hour and a half over the course of an academic year. And then the goal is that when we reconvene in June, that they'll really be in a pretty intense boot camp. And that at the end of June, that they'll be fully prepared to sit for an industry recognized certification exam. So we're not going to make them do it. It's going to be optional. And then we actually use state approved curricula. And the idea is also that we want this to go on their transcript. I want my young folks to have high school graduation credit for computer science. And I also want to make sure that we have prior learning agreements with universities, so they're in a spot to get some college credit as well.
That sounds like a superb program. I mean, it's you gotta laid out all with all the bells and whistles. But what happens is I know that working with these young people, you do see some aha moments, some transformations. I mean, just tell me, you can give an example of, and when you see those moments, how do you encourage them to continue on?
Seeing those moments as an adult feels like witnessing magic. It feels a little bit like, yeah. I also get a little sweaty in the eyeballs when I see
eyeball sweat. I'm not crying, just a sweat.
Yeah. Just a little sweat, just a little, like gloss over my eyeballs. Because you're witnessing a young person's mind like being opened. And so there is that, and then it's just the constant with our young folks, this generation, the motivation has to be pretty consistent, pretty constant. Also really, really important for us, beyond the competency of learning the code, we are really trying to build their confidence and their level of comfort with doing difficult things and at least attempting difficult things. And then for us, it's about building community. So even if me personally learned how to code, like you and I both know that when you go to work in your office, how many people are going to look like us in that office?
Right.
I know that. Yeah, I know. Like living in Japan, I was the only person who looked like me, I think, in the entire company. Yeah, I was the only black dude in the entire company. When I come back to the U.S., I'm still the only person who looks like me. So all that said, it's about building community.
Yes.
If I'm studying this thing and you're studying this thing, then we're studying it together.
Yeah.
And when I'm having a hard day, you're having a hard day. We're both having a hard day.
Yeah, because and I've been looking at the statistics. Black and brown people make up less than 6% of the tech workforce in this nation. Less than 6%.
Yeah.
Now, that is a very low number.
Yeah.
And so just like in Japan, because I worked for a company once, I was a consultant in the company, and this company had over 3,500 employees, and I was one of two. It was one black guy and one black woman.
Sounds about right.
The entire company.
Yeah. That was the quota. That was the limit.
they met the quota. We got out when we got out too. And so and you talked about building confidence. I think of myself as a problem solver. I provide solutions. A person has a problem, I provide a solution in a technical way.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we come to places where we have to work with maybe a tech stack or a framework or something that we're not familiar with.
Yeah.
And so you have to have confidence, some
Yeah.
self confidence
Yeah.
to be able to solve this problem. Because here's my problem, I need an answer, I need a solution, and they're coming to you, and you may not have the answer,
Yeah.
but you have to find the answer.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things you do to build the confidence? You talked about the importance of it. What are some of the things in your program you do to build that confidence in these youth?
One of the things that we do is project-based learning.
Okay.
And I think that's important because I know that when I learned how to code, like I typed a bunch of lines and then I would hit, the simulate
Yeah.
or the emulator button, and it's like, okay, did it work? And then I would have to go and find,
Yeah.
oh Lord,
Mm-hmm.
the nightmares. I would have to go and find
You gotta find
what I was missing, the semicolon,
that one semicolon.
that one semicolon, and I took my glasses off, but like I really can't see, and so
Yeah.
I'm like, is that a colon or a semicolon?
Yeah.
So being able to like, you know, um, with our young folks, it is being able to create individual milestones
Okay.
and to be able to create some early wins. This generation is different from us. They need to see some early wins.
Okay.
We have to teach them how to research, how to be comfortable
That's true.
not knowing the answer, being comfortable with the amazing tools that they have that
Yep.
we didn't have,
Right.
to go and do the research. Because research is a skill in and of itself.
It is.
And
It
so
is.
being able to teach them, to get them really, really comfortable with that. But in terms of how to motivate and how to keep the young folks going, it is being able to create early wins, being able to support them. I mean, it sounds super patronizing, but they need pats on the back. I need a pat on the back. We all need pats on
Yeah,
the
we
back.
do.
And just the consistency. Our young folks need consistency.
They do. And I know a lot of times people from our generation like to joke about, that everyone gets a trophy in this generation. But like you said, there's a need for the pat on the back.
And you know what? We raised them.
We raised them.
And I don't have any kids, so technically y'all raised them.
That's true. That's true. Obviously, the sense of purpose, the vision is greater than yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what purpose is. I mean, it's when we have purpose, it's always greater than yourself, because it's not purpose if it's something that's within the realm of what you can do alone. So, with that being said, I know Urban Coders Guild, you have to have some community and connection with other entities or resources or things like that in order to succeed in the vision that you have before you. So how have you made those connections, and why are those connections important for you in Urban Coders Guild?
So the first part is, how have I made the connections? And it really is just running my mouth. Telling everybody like what this is, why this is important to me, why it's important to them, and why it's important to our community. I mean, I'm sure people get tired of meeting me and hearing my story. Yes, you lived in Tokyo. Oh my God, Mikeal. Oh, you came back and did this thing. But I will always do that because it's important for me and it's important for our community. And being able to share that with so many different folks. There was, when I first moved back in 2016, there was, we're talking about the lead up to the commemoration of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. And so there was a lot of energy around thinking about what was and thinking about what could be.
Okay.
And so lots of folks were listening to my story.
Okay.
There's still a lot of folks listening to my story, and it resonates because Tulsa is becoming the next great tech hub. The investments are there.
Yeah.
We're talking education, but we're also talking workforce development.
Right. Yes.
There is a goal to have a certain number of folks, and I'm not going to quote the number because I can't remember it. But there is a goal to have a certain number of folks working in tech in these roles by 2030.
Okay.
That's 6 years away.
Yeah.
And so
Not that far away at all.
not that, well, and we got a lot to get through.
We got yeah, of course.
We
Yeah,
got
of
a lot
course.
to get through between here and there. I'm not gonna go there, but we got a lot to get through between here and there.
Yeah, we do.
But the reality is that if I'm talking about 2030, the young folks are the people that are gonna be taking those jobs in
Yep.
2030, or 13 years old right now,
Right.
14
Exactly.
years old right now, and so that means the work is here.
You and Urban Coders Guild play a very important role preparing that way.
Yes.
And so you're looking at workplace development,
Yeah.
also entrepreneurship opportunities as well.
Yeah.
That's one of the beautiful things about tech. You can create your own job. So what challenges have you seen in working with these students and getting them involved? What challenges do they face as individuals within your program, or what challenges do they face in their personal lives?
Yeah.
Being a part of this program, and how does Urban Coders Guild walk alongside them through these challenges? That's a loaded question.
That's the hard question.
Yeah.
I have a passion for our young folks, and my passion for our young folks is even greater than my passion for Urban Coders Guild, and even
Okay.
greater than my passion for computer science.
Okay.
I am one of these kids. I'm just in the body of a 44-year-old man now. Our kids have a lot of challenges, a lot of challenges, and I kind of don't know where to start. And if I started, I kind of wouldn't know where to end.
Okay.
But we're talking about literacy. We're talking about adverse childhood experiences, and there's a whole that's a whole universe of challenges in and of itself. Poverty, parents and family members. Sometimes our young folks are just as involved. Addiction, all of the things.
Yeah.
This is Oklahoma we're talking about. So all of the bad things were number one, number two, and all the good things were number 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think about what we can do as an organization, and it is attempting to eliminate as many of those barriers
Yeah.
as we can. At Urban Coders Guild, we feed our young folks.
Yeah.
They actually eat pretty well, but we feed the young folks because we know that food insecurity is a huge issue.
Yeah.
About 60-70% of our young folks are on free and reduced lunch, and so that means that talks about food insecurity, but we're also talking at that point about poverty. Transportation is a huge thing.
Okay.
A lot of our young folks can't participate in after school programming because transportation is an issue. We recognize that participating in Urban Coders Guild comes with an opportunity cost. Some of our young folks, they would be otherwise be working or should be working to support their family members.
Yeah.
So we actually provide a financial compensation incentive for our young folks to participate in the Urban Coders Guild programs. We have internships also where we're paying young folks to participate and to give it back in the Urban Coders Guild program. I call it Urban Coders Guild because I think about the old world guilds when someone started as an apprentice and became a journeyman, and then became, I hate using the term, but became a master and a master craftsman. But the idea is that at a certain point, our young folks will be in a position where they could come back and teach and lead and facilitate. Jeremiah, your son, was one of our student teachers. And so really just thinking about all the barriers that our young folks have. And we have some amazing donors. I would want to shout out all of our donors, but there's a lot of support.
Yeah.
A lot of support for what we do. And my donors, my community, our supporters know that we have to eliminate the barriers, and they support us in eliminating the barriers. That's the challenge from my board. It's like, Mikeal, these are the barriers that our kids are facing. And then together we're like, yeah, let's figure that out. But it really is making participation is easy. We want our students to learn, like come in this space and learn. Like we know you have challenges outside. Come in this space to feel comfortable, to feel community, to feel confidence.
Yes.
All the C's, confidence, comfort, community, competency, come in this space and experience that.
Do you believe that Urban Coders Guild could be a model for other cities that may want to do something like what you're doing?
Absolutely. That's actually one of my goals is to replicate what we're doing here. Tulsa has some particular challenges around around computer science education that we've had to as an organization have had to tackle. When I think about the guild and the guild model, we love to have young folks who are teaching and facilitating the classes. We also like to have industry professionals who are teaching and leading the class. And right now, we don't have very many industry professionals who are in a position to teach the class. We don't have enough young folks that near peer relationship kind of population that can co-facilitate and lead some of these classes. I say, and I know I got in trouble the last time I posted this on Facebook, but we actually don't have a public four-year institution in Tulsa. But the reality is that, you know, when we think about Austin and we think about the Bay Area, that they have been able to build these tech hubs, these entrepreneurship hubs, because they have a population of young folks who are energized, who are educated, who are in the community, who are staying in their community to build. And so Tulsa has that particular challenge. When I think about being able to replicate this in other places might have a university, they might have a more established tech community that could support the kind of work in this particular model.
Okay. And now you talked about staying, like say getting and staying, and I know that that there was a pull that brought you back, and that's probably one of the issues that Tulsa may have, and some other cities, even other cities may have, that when someone gets educated and then they go out and find somewhere else to go, and then they're away from the community. But thankfully, Tulsa, there was a pull that came back, and there was a sense of purpose that that you had. What is your journey? Let me talk about Mikeal. Has your journey as a leader been like, and an advocate for tech education taught you about the power of community and innovation?
What has it taught me? That's a lot. So
I didn't mean to stump you.
not even a stump. I kind of just don't know where to
I
start.
don't know where to start. It's a lot. Yeah.
But there are things about me that I've had to learn. So I've had to learn Mikeal.
Okay.
Had to learn my challenges and how to overcome my challenges. Oh my God, I was about to go to another biblical reference, and I'm not gonna do it. But you know, I am naturally not an extrovert. I am the people who are listening to this podcast, and even like the folks that are watching it, can't see how sweaty my hands are, and I am struggling not to fidget. But I'm not naturally a talker.
I understand.
And so I have had to learn how to talk.
Yeah.
And how to express my passion. Also, there are some times when I am over passionate, and so I've had to learn how to reel it in. And not overwhelm somebody, and not, show my crazy. I know that I also suffer with bipolar disorder, and so there are some days are long periods of times when I'm depressed.
Okay.
And so knowing that I still got to get up every day and make it happen for my community and for my kids.
Yeah.
Just really how to navigate the world. I'm navigating the world as a Black man, as a queer Black man. I am navigating the world as someone who has been away for a long time, relearning my place in the community. There's still a part of me that's still very much Japanese influenced.
Yeah.
And the way I see the world is different from a lot of folks. And so I'm also learning how to reconnect with other people.
Okay.
Empathy and how other people respond to empathy, making space for other people to be empathetic and to be more honest and more truthful. Yeah, you asked a hard question. Yeah.
So yeah, introspection and looking back. I mean, it's important to look at that and even discovering yourself. And I found that uh, discovering self is a lifelong lesson because I believe that we consistently this discovering self because
Yeah.
as we grow in experience, we're discovering more things about self. Now, one thing I want to just pull out, pick at, because you talked about earlier, you talked about some of the benefits, the financial benefits of being in tech and what it could provide, and then you said some things that you learned about yourself and like dealing with bipolar disorder and depression and that nature. How and many times we talk about poverty, underserved communities, or even just being Black in general. Because I remember coming up, Black folks don't go to therapy. We do, that was
That depression is the demon. That's the
exactly.
devil.
You been depressing yourself on them dishes.
Right.
So I've even gone through therapy and things like
Yeah.
that because I've learned the importance of it, and I think that's one thing. Like you said, it provides that avenue to be able to do that, and that's another thing that will provide change in our communities because when you think about it, a lot of the things, some of the things that we deal with is because we haven't provided the right therapeutic methods to deal with this stuff.
Yeah.
So we living with these conditions, we living with these systems. So I applaud everything that Mikeal is doing with Urban Coders Guild, even learning things about yourself and becoming who you are and even coming back to the community. I hope you're enjoying this show. Whenever you get an opportunity, get a chance, check out my website at www.notablebit.com. You'll find some good information there. But whatever platform you're listening on, please feel free to leave a review. You can also communicate with us on Instagram at notablebit. Now back to the show. If you had to say something to the Tulsans in the community about the passion that you have and what you just talked about, what would you say to them about this conversation, about what we're talking about now? You're a part of a body that's working together to do that.
I am a part of a body. There are some amazing folks doing some amazing work, people with great dreams and creativity and great investments, personal financial investments, and the work that is happening to develop the city and develop the community and to develop our young folks.
Right.
But in terms of Urban Coders Guild and its place and my place, it really is, let's step out. Let's explore. Let's try something different. I count it as a win if a kid did Urban Coders Guild, if a young person did Urban Coders Guild a class, and at the end of the year they said, I hate coding. I count that as a win because you can say that you hate it because you've experienced it. Let's have some new experiences. They're not all going to be for us.
Right.
And honestly, they might not all even be great, but the idea is that we're trying new things, that we're looking for solutions.
Yes.
And it's one thing to sit on the sidelines. And I feel like a lot of us are still sitting on the sidelines, and it's easy to say, oh, they are doing these things around us and to us. When there's also an opportunity for us to engage and to do some things for ourselves and to learn some things and try some things, get comfortable in dark places, get comfortable stepping out on faith. Yeah. But saying all of that, like I'm just a one person. I always say that I mean, not to get morbid, but I'm closer to the end than the beginning. I also make a joke about, the day that I'm retired and knowing that, like my grandmother, we watched Matlock, and in the heat of the night, like I'm closer to that than the beginning, and be able to set some other folks up to be able to sit in the spot where they're talking to you. They are at, sitting with the mayor or whoever else, like advocating for the community, and I'm at home eating eggs, watching The Price is Right.
Right. Yeah. Eating eggs, watching The Price is Right. So essentially, join in the fight. Join the movement.
Yeah.
Because I would say there's a movement.
Yeah.
There's a movement happening,
Mhm.
and everyone and it'll be beneficial to not sit on the sidelines, but just to join in the movement.
Yeah, and it really is
Mhm.
a matter of all of us getting involved,
Yeah.
participating, sharing our knowledge. Like it's not all going to be optimism and positivity. There's some criticisms, real criticisms that need to be
Yeah.
aired out. But it really is all of us looking for solutions and working towards solutions.
We talked about you going away to Japan and come back home, but every experience, like you said, every experience means something. Every experience matters, and those things were important because it was a part of your preparation for what you're doing now.
Yeah, yeah,
If you look back on hindsight, it's 2020. So I'm really enjoying this conversation. I enjoy some of the insights. I like what you're doing. Like you said, my son has been a part of your program now,
Yeah.
and now I'm wearing the
Come on, A&T.
A&T. My son's at North Carolina A&T, Aggie Pride.
Yeah, yeah.
And so he's a product of Urban Coders Guilds. He's been and he's actively a part of it. I know when he
Yeah.
come back in the summer, he wants to participate.
I'm looking
some more.
forward to it. Yeah.
And so I'm proud of what you're doing. And I'll say this: I've been here for 2.5 years, so I'll say I'm becoming a proud Tulsan.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a transplant, but I'm loving this city and I'm loving the movement that's happening. And so with all that, there may be someone listening, watching, who wants to know more about you, more about what you're doing, and tell us whatever you want to say about connecting with Mikeal and learning more about what you're doing.
Okay. So for all the folks that are listening and watching, my name is Mikeal Vaughn. You can find me all on social media, urbancodersguild.org. We're on Facebook, Urban Coders Guild. I know that's for a certain older generation of folks. We're on Instagram, urbancodersguild.org. We're on LinkedIn, urbancodersguild.org. We are building a community on Blue Sky, which is the new thing. On Threads, which is a new thing where we're trying to get ahead of technology. Follow us on Discord. That is for our younger folks. This is really a community that we're building. This is something for all of us. As I and my organization and my team are learning things, we're sharing things, and we're not gatekeepers. We want our entire community to get involved, to try this new thing with us and to build this new city with us.
There you go, y'all. Mikeal Vaughn, Urban Coders Guild. I'm glad you spent the time with us today. Until next time.